Hey, what's up, my people? John Middlekauff, new YouTube channel. What I need you to do, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, share with your friends. Appreciate everyone that has. It's the podcast, 3 and Out. You can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Apple, Spotify. We got you covered. Also, thevolume.com. We got merch right here. Flex Fit hat. Go to thevolume.com. Get yourself a 3 and Out hat. Okay, we had some breaking news on Wednesday morning. Thing with the NFL, I think this modern day, last 3 or 4 years, it has really upped its game in the constant drama, in the constant off-season moves. The personnel guys, high-level players flying team to team at all hours of the night at, before free agency, after free agency, and through the draft. Let's face it, is really amped up, which is fantastic for us that talk about football because the drama brewing with Diggs now has been a couple years. This is not out of left field. This is not like I'm just going to pick a player. The Cowboys just traded CeeDee Lamb. Seattle traded DK Metcalf. Didn't see that one coming. This one, not shocking because he's been on the trade block before. Now, I want to dive into the move. I think 2 things can be true. One, this is a blow for the Bills. I'm going to read you some stats. 127, 103, 108, 107, 8, 11, 10, and 8. Those were his catches and his touchdowns the last 4 years on the Buffalo Bills. He has been a fantastic, productive player in a place, let's face it, they've been playing late into the season. Not an easy place to play. It's freezing cold. The weather is a massive, massive factor. And this guy's proven to be a high-level outdoor player, a high-level big game player. I know he dropped the ball in the playoff game against the Chiefs, but Diggs has been fantastic. There's no way around it, even with the drama. And drama has been going on with star wide receivers for a long period of time. It's been going on with this player. Why do you think Minnesota moved on for him? He was good for Minnesota. I guess his last year was a little down, but the year before he had 102 catches. Now, they did one of the great win-win trades in recent memory. They traded him straight up essentially for Justin Jefferson. It worked out for both parties. But I'm not going to act like this isn't a blow to the Bills. They just traded one of, their second or third best player. Many would argue their second best player. But here's where I feel really, really confident is every single person, universally, whether you're a fan of football, whether you talk about football. I'm not talking about people in the league. I'm just talking about people that millions upon millions of people that are texting with their buddies right now. People like me that talk about football for a living. Not me, but most of you will go, the Bills, they're in trouble. They've cut half their roster. They just traded Diggs. Down year for the Bills. And listen, they might not be as good as they've been, but here's what I will not do. I will not pick against the Bills to win the AFC East. I just won't. Why? Because I view them a little bit like an NBA team. When you have Luka, when you have Giannis, when you have an elite player, and even if your team's a little questionable, I'm not betting against you until you lose. And when you lose, I'll tip my hat to the other team. Why? Because unless they play Patrick Mahomes, they have the best player on the field every single game who plays the most important position. He's the second best quarterback in the NFL. I know Lamar Jackson has won multiple MVPs. I'm sorry, Josh Allen is better. No shade at Lamar. He's the third best quarterback. Ask the Chiefs. I have. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, the players. Who scares them more? Who has given them more trouble in the big games? It's Josh Allen. Now, they are going to have to figure this out on the fly. Look at a team a couple years ago that did that. Tyreek Hill, better player than Diggs, and they pivoted. Now, they had Travis Kelce, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I also think your division matters. If you told me the Bills played in the AFC North, I'd be like, I don't know if their roster is good enough. If Burrow's healthy, obviously the Ravens. If the Steelers ever get competent quarterback play, the Browns roster is still pretty good, even though Deshaun Watson's a major question mark. You'd be like, that's really hard. I think it's going to be a struggle. They play in the AFC East. I'm sorry. I think the Patriots are borderline laughing stock right now. I really do. Starts with ownership. Robert Kraft, a legend when he had Belichick, but everything that's transpired since, I'm shorting that organization in the short term. I just am. Their roster stinks. They have a first-time head coach who's only been coaching a couple years. The transition to taking over for a legend, and I know the team's been down a little bit, but I'm sorry. I think the Patriots are not going to be very good. I think the Dolphins, to me, this is a blinking neon sign of like, hey, let's take a deep breath. We're not going to extend Tua. If we can't win the division this year with this guy, he's not worth $200 million. We can't do it. We know he's not as good as Josh Allen. We know he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes. We know he's not as good as Lamar Jackson. And he never will be. It's impossible. He does not have the physical capability. You could argue he's been solid, which he has. He's been better than I thought he would be as a pro. But I've seen him in the big games. We saw it last year with it all on the line. And he kind of crumbled like a cookie. There's no way around it. So under no circumstances do I think, as long as you got Tua and they got Josh Allen, whether they got me or they got you playing for them, am I going to take Tua over a Josh Allen-led team? It's not going to happen. Who has been consistently winning, who still has a lot of guys who have played on these teams the last couple years. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. And the Jets, who in theory have a roster full of high-priced, former Pro Bowlers, bright lights, high picks, all these guys have long injury histories, the older players. I mean, the linchpin of the whole operation, the quarterback, is 40 years old coming off an Achilles injury. Their coaching staff, we have no clue if it's any good. And I'm talking about their head coach. I know their offensive coordinator isn't good. Now, he could be masked if Rodgers is an elite player, but he hasn't been an elite player in a couple years. Even before the injury, it was kind of questionable. And now he's coming off a major injury, even if it's not as catastrophic as it once was 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. He's 40 years old. And we have recent examples of older guys not named Tom Brady falling off a cliff. So I can't, in good conscience, pick the Jets. So I'm still picking the Bills to win this division, even if they have a lot of question marks with their offensive skill guys. And they're clearly probably going to be in the mix to draft a wide receiver in the first round. Luckily, really good wide receiver class. Really good. So I think when you look at the overreaction from the Bills, they're screwed. They're done. Well, they have a team that's dominated the last 4 years in the regular season, won this division 4 straight years, and like I said, have the second best quarterback in the NFL. Has a guy in the playoffs who is fantastic, let alone just big regular season games. When everyone's going to go left, I'm sorry, I'm going right. You're going to pick the Miami Dolphins and Tua to win this. They had it mapped out the last 2 years and could not get it done. And a large reason was his average play down the stretch. He can't play outside. He cannot play in the cold weather. The Chiefs, who played in one of the coldest games of all time in that first round playoff game, when they woke up that morning and saw the weather, they knew even if they didn't have a great game, the other team had no shot. They didn't have a snowball's chance in hell to beat them. And it played out that way. So, and the Patriots, even if things go well, they're going to have a rookie quarterback. So I think the overreaction of the Bills is going to be predictable, but I'm not buying it. I'm really not. And on the flip side with the Houston Texans, this just shows you, man, like David Culley and Lovie Smith kind of crawled through the sewer and the shit like Andy Dufresne to get out for D'Amico and CJ Stroud. And now they're in a position where they have a quarterback who just had one of, if not the best rookie season by some metrics he did, who clearly, the eye test, statistically, every metric just looks like a star. Now, part of being a star is doing it over and over. So he's going to have to prove that now everyone's gunning for him, that he can do it. I don't see how you would bet against it till proven otherwise. D'Amico has been a rocket ship since he was a player. Anyone who spent any time around D'Amico as a player knew this guy was special. Not shocking that he's gone on to be an elite position coach, one of the best coordinators we've seen in recent memory, and then a star head coach. And now they have a roster that's really good. And I've always said this about the Cowboys. Players want to live in Texas. It has no state income tax. A lot of guys in the league are from southern states. The problem, the Cowboys, who are the brightest lights team, I'm not saying the results. I'm just saying the brand, the power, the money that comes with it. Never have any free agency money. Rarely do big things in free agency because they're paying their own players a lot of money, including the quarterback. Well, because a lot of the Texans' better players are on rookie deals, what happened this offseason? They got really, really aggressive. Really aggressive. And everyone's going to pick them, rightfully so, to win this division. And if things come together, I don't think it's out of the realm possibility that they could compete with the Chiefs and the Ravens. So this is a team that the trajectory is pointing right at the moon right now. And the only question is, how do you handle it? Because last year they got to sneak up on a lot of people, like the Lions a couple years ago. Even the Lions a little bit this year. In 2024, no one's sleeping on those teams. Everybody is taking them seriously. You're getting every team's best shot. And when you win your division, you get a harder schedule than when you've been shitty. But this is why Caserio, I mean, last year when they moved up to get Will Anderson, they get a guy who's a dog. I mean, who's a badass. Might never be Myles Garrett or Nick Bosa, but he's a guy that you can go to war with. He's wired the right way. Same thing with CJ Stroud. Same thing with Tank Dell. Now, Diggs is a little bit of a question mark in terms of he can be a lot. So, but you have to take some of these flyers. And Caserio, who was with Bill for a long time, what did New England do? They built their core of guys, high character, never had to worry about all ball, 24/7, no drama. And then occasionally they drop in a guy. And it would work because what are you going to do? Either shape in or you shape out. Now, they got, I would say, relatively bold. They gave a second-round pick in 2025, which is equivalent of a third-round pick, right, this upcoming draft. Time value money, right? A pick later is not worth the same as a pick now. And they basically traded a second-round pick for Diggs and a couple late-round picks. But totally understand why they did it. To get a more explosive offense, to go with some of their younger wide receivers, to go with their young quarterback. And because they have the cap flexibility, because their players are on rookie deals. The power of a rookie deal isn't just, we got rookie deals. It's when you get high-level players on rookie deals. I don't care if I have a quarterback on a rookie deal if he stinks or he's average. Having Mac Jones on a rookie deal, who cares? Not any good. Kenny Pickett, not any good, right? The power of Brock Purdy, he's a top 3 or 4 quarterback immediately in the NFC. By some metrics, he was the best. That's the power. And CJ Stroud, immediately a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the AFC. Second pick in the draft makes $7-8 million instead of $40-45 million. It gives you a lot of wiggle room. And this is why you bet on the coaching staff, on the players that you draft that are just high-level dudes. So I'm telling you, everyone is going to bury the Bills, not me. I'm just not doing it. I'm not saying I'm going to be right, but as long as you got Josh Allen in that division, I'm picking you to win it. I just, till I'm proven wrong. And the Texans, it's just, you'd be a fool if you're not excited as a football fan to watch this squad play. I mean, they have not only got more physical, but adding this explosive playmaker to the group that they already had, to that quarterback, feels like sky's the limit. The other thing is they have to go, like, their division. They're going up against the Colts, who have a team full of, like, just solid guys and a quarterback that we know nothing about. Now, they brought in Flacco, and we've seen Shane Steichen be a really good, head coach / play caller. So they're going to be a problem if the quarterback is solid. The Jags have a lot of question marks. The main one is Trevor Lawrence, any good? And the Titans, who splurged a lot in free agency, but let's face it, their biggest question mark is the question mark that you want to avoid at all costs. Do they have a quarterback? What's the deal? Can Will Levis play? Because if Will Levis can't play or is just average, like a somewhere between 20 and 32 as a starting quarterback this year, they have no shot. Period, point blank, end of story. They have no shot. I don't care how good Ridley is. I don't care how good Tony Pollard is. I don't care how awesome L'Jarius Sneed is, who claims his knee's just fine. So the Texans now the heavy favorite to win that division again. And the Bills, I'm telling you, just bet against them all you want. Your boy right here will not.